Before we get into today's video, I did want to let you guys know that this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Please remember to be kind to everybody everywhere in your everyday life, in your home, in the grocery store, and especially in the comment section down below. Please do not show hate to anybody, anywhere. Good morning, my lovelies, my beauties, my friends. My name is Christina and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I really hope that you will subscribe, stick around, take a chance in hearing some things that I have to say. And if you are a returning subscriber, y'all already know, y'all are my babies. So good morning, good morning, good morning. How was everybody doing today? I hope you all are having an amazing day. I hope you all have had a wonderful week. I hope everybody is doing good. I hope everybody is healthy and happy and just good. Just good. You guys, I just wanted to say like a little thing. Maybe some people need the reminder that time is not on our side, right? Like time is going to continue to move regardless of what we have going on in our lives, whether we're bored, whether we're busy, whether we're on social media, whether we're at work, and time is just not on our side. So this is y'all's friendly reminder to drink your water and call that special family member that you always forget to call. You know, that aunt or your mother or your friend or your grandmother or whoever it is that you're always like, dang, I need to just check on them. This is your reminder to call them and check on them. Don't tell them anything about what you have going on in your life. Don't talk about yourself. Just see how they're doing and let them know that you care and that you love them. Before we get into today's full video, if you guys don't already know me though, I do have a second channel, which is Casually Christina. Over there, we just do things way more casually. I'm actually getting ready to use the new Dyson Airwrap over there, which is why my hair is all thrown up because I'm going to do my hair later. I also have a Patreon. My Patreon is for 18 and up. Over there, we do more personal story times. We go live. It's a good time if you're 18 and up and you'd like to join. I also have an Instagram as well as a Facebook, and all of those are always linked down in the description box if you'd like to come and check me out. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the story about Joshua Phillips and Maddie Clifton. Have y'all heard about this? Have you heard about this? This is all for my teenage mommies and daddies out there, okay? You know, some of us have got teenagers still. It's going to be a story for you. Joshua Phillips, who from everything that I could find was an only child, was born in Pennsylvania to his mother and father, Missy and Steve Phillips. It is said that Joshua, who went by Josh, had a rough childhood. His dad had a bunch of issues. He had a really bad temper and was not very emotional with him, did not spend a lot of time with him, and he was more closer to his mother. Josh was described as a friendly kid, kind of quiet. He was funny when he would talk to you and just kind of did his own thing. He happened to be terrified of his father and never wanted to make his father mad because of his father's wrath. Now, eventually, Joshua and his parents would move to Jacksonville, Florida, in a neighborhood that actually had a lot of children in it. Everybody in this Jacksonville neighborhood was pretty close. All the kids would come outside and play, and it was just a really good area. Like they would play kickball, they would play basketball, they would hit golf balls, and it was just a really fun neighborhood filled with a bunch of different children. Across the street from Joshua lived a couple who had two little girls named Jessie and Maddie. Around this time, which was about 1998, Jessie was 11 years old, Maddie was 8 years old, and Joshua was 14 years old. He was the oldest of the three. Again, there was a lot of kids in the neighborhood though, and they all just played when they could. Now, it was later said that Joshua's dad did not like him playing with the two little girls across the street, and we'll get to more of that of why later. But Josh originally said that his dad just did not like little girls. Now, Maddie, the 8-year-old little girl that we're speaking of, grew up in a very, very loving family. Her mother's name was Sheila and her father's name was Steve, and they had been married all of her life. She had her older sister named Jessie, and Jessie and Maddie were best friends. They got along great. They did everything together when they could. Maddie was very much involved in everything. She played piano, she played hockey, she played basketball, she played kickball, she played baseball. She did it all. She was a very lively little kid, very outgoing, and just would go up to anybody and play with anybody. Now, on this particular day, which happened to be November 3rd of 1998, it was election day there in Jacksonville, and Maddie got out of school. She went straight home and she began to do her piano lessons. She practiced her piano every single day while her mother went to go vote. When her mother got home at around 4:30, Maddie was ready to go. She was standing at the door. Her mom pulled into the driveway. She ran past her. "Love you, Mom. I'm going to play before dinner." Her mom said, "Okay, I'll see you later." At around 6:20, when it was dinner time, Sheila was expecting Maddie to come home. She always came home for dinner. Maddie, her big sister Jessie, and her mother and father always ate dinner at the table every single night together. It was just their thing. She had to be home for dinner. When she didn't come home for dinner, she went out the door. She yelled for her, "Maddie, Maddie," and she did not see her. So she sent her oldest daughter, Jessie, to go look for her. She rode her bike around. She called her sister's name. She knocked on doors where she thought she may be, and she could not find her little sister, Maddie. Before you know it, Sheila called the cops and got them involved. They came out. They started searching the neighborhood. All of the neighbors began searching. The little boy across the street, Joshua, and his parents came and joined other kids. They had flashlights. They searched all night long until the cops eventually called off the search. They're like, it's too many people. It's getting too involved. It's, if there is any kind of evidence, it's going to get trampled on. We need everybody to pretty much calm down. Now, Maddie's parents, of course, could not calm down. Hello, I wouldn't be able to either. And they were so upset. They knew that their little girl would not just go off and disappear. Something happened to her. As the investigators continued to look around, this is when they stumbled across their first suspect. There was a guy that lived in the neighborhood named Larry. Now, Larry always played with the children, and typically the neighbors didn't think anything of it until they found out that he was a S offender. Now, he was not an S offender to children, but he was allegedly nonetheless. And so the investigators brought him in. They asked him to take a lie detector test, and they asked him questions pertaining to the disappearance of Maddie, and he failed the lie detector test. So, boom, got your guy, right? The problem was he had a strong alibi, like a solid alibi that he was with this person and these people, and he could not have taken Maddie or did anything with her. Remember that I said that, okay, about the whole lie detector thing. Moving on. So then the cops were stumped. They could not arrest him because he had a rock solid alibi, even though he failed the lie detector test. So they continued to search. The family was doing flyers. There was a $100,000 reward for information that would bring their baby girl home, 8-year-old Maddie. I mean, the whole community was in it. There was thousands of people. There was so many people. They loved Maddie. The community loved Maddie. People at the school got involved. Nobody could understand how this little girl could leave her house at 4:30 after school one day, go to play, and then by 6:20, nobody had seen her. She literally just vanished or disappeared. However, everything with the disappearance of Maddie would change on November 10th, just 7 days later after she was deemed missing. The little boy that lived across the street, 14-year-old Joshua's mother, went into his room to clean it while he was at school. She noticed a super foul smell that was coming from the room. Oh, you guys. She could not get rid of the smell. She was going in, she was picking up socks and dirty underwear. She noticed that he had air freshener and like incense all over the place. And in her mind, she's like, this nasty little 14-year-old, where he's got some dirty drawers somewhere around here that is stinking up the whole room. I mean, is there a rat dead in here? What is it? She continued to clean, looking for something that was causing this foul foul smell that obviously could not be covered up with air freshener, candles, or incense. And as she crawled onto the floor to pick up stuff, she noticed a liquid coming out from his bed. See, 14-year-old Joshua had a waterbed. Y'all remember waterbeds back then? She thought then, oh my gosh, the waterbed's leaking. And if you guys don't know, or if you didn't have a waterbed back in the day, there were these big like mattresses that was like a really thick plastic, and inside of it was water so it would move. But they were in these big wooden bed frames that would hold the water mattress or the water bed part. And they would have these big wooden bed frames that would hold it, you know, up off the ground, then where you would have the wooden mattress holder and then the water bed. She noticed that the water was coming out from there, and she thought, oh my gosh, his water bed is leaking. It's probably wetting the carpet and causing mildew and causing this wood to rot. That's the smell. So when she went to go look further, she noticed that the wooden part of the water bed was duct taped. It had tape around it, like somebody had purposely taped it together. She pulled the tape off to pull the wood back to see what was under there, where the leak was. And this is when she saw a human foot. She freaked out. She ran out of the house, ran down the neighborhood, and started looking for a cop. Now, there were plenty of police in that neighborhood because they had been looking for little Maddie. And also, the investigators thought at this point that whoever took little Maddie obviously had a hit against Maddie's parents and was probably going to come back and get Jessie, the sister, as well. So they had security. They actually had cops that were in the house that would come in and eat dinner with them, would play board games with Jessie. I mean, it was a really tight-knit community, and they felt like they needed to protect the family because somebody was after them. So there was already cops there. So when Joshua's mom ran out, flagged down the cop, she called the cop into the house, into her son's bedroom, and she could not even tell him what she saw. She just pointed. And when the cop opened up that piece of wood and he saw the foot, that is when he called for backup. The cop called for backup, and it just so happened that he had other officers were in Maddie's house, and one of them was sitting on the floor playing a board game at that moment with little Jessie when he got the call, and he had to abruptly leave the game and go across the street to Joshua's house. As the investigators in the coroner's office came and they pulled little Maddie's body out from underneath Joshua's bed, this is when they saw that she had been strangled. She had marks around her neck. She had stab wounds, and she was nude from the waist down, other than her socks. They took her body in, they got their information together, and they went over to the Clifton's house to let them know that they had found Maddie. When they sat Sheila and Stephen down to let them know that they had found Maddie, they wanted to know where she was, and they said she was across the street. They were completely devastated. I mean, like, what do you mean she was across the street? And they had to say that, you know, she's not alive anymore, and we found her under the 14-year-old little boy's bed, and they were freaking out. I mean, that little boy and his parents had came and searched for her. They were out there searching for her the night she went missing with flashlights. I mean, none of this made sense to them. The investigators went to Joshua's school and obviously got him out of school and took him down to the Juvenile Justice Center and took him into a room for questioning. As they began to press Joshua, at first he tried to act like he didn't know anything, and then eventually he broke. And this is when he told the story of what he said at this point happened to little Maddie. He said that he was home alone and that Maddie came up knocking on the door and wanted to play. He said that he told them, nope, my dad's not home. I'll get in trouble. I got to do chores. I'm not allowed to play. He says that Maddie pressed the issue. Please, 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 please come play, like typical kid stuff, if that's even true. And that he caved and he said, okay. He said that he went outside and began to hit like softballs and baseballs with her. He said that he hit one and it hit her in the eye and she began to scream, cry, and bleed. He said that he freaked out. He took her in the house to help her, and she would not stop screaming and crying and bleeding. And so he hit her over the head with something a couple times to get her to stop. He said then she began to whimper and he took her up to his room. And around this time, he said his dad came home and he said he was terrified. He said he shoved her under the bed, told her to be quiet, whatever. And when his dad got home, he ran downstairs. Hey, Dad, I'm just up here doing homework, whatever he told him, greeted his father. And then he went back up and he said he heard little Maddie under the bed whimpering again. And so this is when he said he took another weapon and stabbed her multiple times to get her to stop whimpering. He said he just completely freaked out. At this point, he was obviously put under arrest and charged with first-degree murder. When little Maddie's body had the autopsy done, it showed a bit of a different story. I mean, first of all, why were her clothes missing from the bottom half? Now, they did say that they could not find any evidence that there was an SA, but it still makes no sense. Now, Joshua would tell the investigators that it came off when he was pushing her under the bed, right? Like her socks stayed on, but that didn't. Disgusting, but we'll get there. The exam showed that she was never hit in the head with a baseball or anything. There was no kind of proof that said that what he said was true. There was no proof or like any blood that was outside or in a baseball or anything to show that she was hit outside and that he brought her inside. It seemed that everything happened inside. What it looks like probably happened was that she was lured into the house, hit there, strangled with a phone cord, and then stabbed. That is never the story that Joshua told. He's always stuck with the same story. Let's keep rolling here, and then I'm going to tell you guys my opinion because it keeps trying to seep out. He ended up going to trial the next year in 1999, and he was found guilty. I mean, the jury deliberated for 2 hours, and they found him guilty. He, being 15 years old at this point, was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He could not get the death sentence because he was under the age of 18. But at this time, it was legal to give children life without the possibility of parole. When he was interviewed and asked why he did this, he said he didn't know. And he didn't really know why he did it. Maybe he needed counseling to find out what was wrong with him. I believe he knew exactly why he did it. Now, it was later said that Joshua was obsessed with Maddie's big sister, Jessie. I even seen things that said that, he had a picture of her that he stole in his room and that he was possibly wanting to get to Jessie when he got to Maddie. But the thing that to me is the most disturbing of it all, and if you guys have watched my old videos, if you've watched Ted B, if you've watched so many like this, okay, Joshua was found to be looking at dirty images, porno, you know what I'm trying to say here, before this situation happened with Maddie and after. So my thoughts is, I think that he was being exposed, whether it be something he seeked out, whether it be something that he saw his dad doing and then he went and looked at, he was being exposed to things of a nature as a young boy and became obsessed with it and decided he wanted to act it out. And he lured little Maddie into the house because he couldn't get to her sister, Jessie. Now, we see this happening over and over again. I wish that even as a community, we would take these things so much more seriously, because exposing children to things like this at a young age changes them. Or we see a lot of cases where it changes them. I mean, even Ted B said that his whole mind changed when he was walking back alleys at nighttime on his way home or whatever from school, and he found some dirty magazines in a trash can and he became obsessed with it. There's so many cases like this. So if you're a parent, take that kind of stuff seriously. If you're a parent that looks at those types of things, you need to find a place that your children will never see it, or never find it, or never come across it themselves. Anyways, so let's keep moving here. So in 2012, Florida, I believe it was, or I don't know if it was the whole country, nevertheless deemed that you could not sentence children to a life sentence without the possibility of parole because it was cruel and unusual. So because of this, he was able to get another trial hearing in 2017. And when he had this trial hearing, this is when he apologized for the first time to the family. And it was a long, heartfelt apology from him.
I've wanted to say this for a very long time, and I'm grateful that this chance to do so in person has arrived. I don't pretend to know or understand your pain or to grasp the void that I have created in your lives. I can say this: I do understand pain. I have become quite intimate with suffering. Growing up in prison, I have seen many dark things, and I've been to some dark places. Many times throughout this journey, I came dreadfully close to ending my life just to escape it all. During these times, I was embroiled in a flurry of emotions and feelings: guilt, despair, pain, hopelessness, fear, and shame. Each time, I was somehow able to continue on, mostly because I couldn't stand to put my mother through any more trauma. She's been through enough. There were times that I was angry at her because I couldn't end my pain because of her love. Yet now, I'm eternally grateful to her. I'm grateful to her because as I've grown up, I have learned the value of life. I've learned to see the beauty and joy in a world full of strife and experience the truth of unconditional love. I wish to God that I could have known this or understood it when I was 14. Had I then, none of this would have come about. I had no clue what life meant, what death meant, nor the depths of suffering that could follow one act. I had no inkling of how long that suffering could last. I hadn't lived long enough to understand the time involved or what really suffering was. I did something horrible. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for what happened. Even now, after all these years, it is just unfathomable that all this could have occurred. It tears my mind asunder to know that I stole such a precious life from you, from the world. I so wish I could take away your pain. I thank God that I've been able to continue on in life and grow. But not a day goes by that I don't think of what led me to where I'm at. Not in prison, but in life. I pray every day that you're able to live your lives in spite of the injury I've caused you. I'm supremely grateful to have an opportunity at physical freedom. Yet any joy that arises in my heart is immediately tempered by the knowledge that these proceedings bring all involved once again face to face with the horror that occurred in 1998. When I walked the rec yard here in chains, I looked at the sky through mesh wiring, and I thank God repeatedly for giving me hope. My next breath is always devoted to wishing peace and healing upon you all. My hopes, fears, and wishes probably mean nothing to you, but they are there all the same. May you know peace, may you be free from suffering, and may you feel the love that is the sustenance of life itself. May God bless you and heal your wounds as much as possible. Thank you, Your Honor.
He said he's done many interviews over the years, and he said that he didn't want to apologize to them via letter. He always wanted to do it face to face so they could see how sincere he was. Anyways, and his mother has fought for him this whole time. His mother has gone to see him almost every single week for all of these years, and she has fought over and over and over again to get him released. Before I tell you guys about what happened at this next hearing, I think I should tell you guys what happened to Maddie's family. I mean, obviously they were broken. Maddie's mother and father, Sheila and Steve, they were married for 25 years and they finally divorced because of the toll that this took on them. And you hear stories like this, all the time. Like, it breaks you down. I mean, I think we all, us that really, pay attention to true crime and deep dive into this stuff, you can't help but to wonder, like, what that does. You blame yourself. Did the mother think, oh, I just shouldn't have let her go out this day? I should have told her to clean her room instead. She needed to clean her room anyways. Or, the dad and I'm just coming up with ideas here. The dad's like, I told you not to let her go out without her sister. Those things will just wear you down. And especially with knowing that she was across the street under the bed for the 7 days and they didn't know. And the wondering of what actually happened to her. Why did her pants really, those things will eat you up. They'll eat anybody up. So I think it's so sad that after 25 years, they just couldn't get over it and make it work as a couple, although they do seem to get along still for the most part. Then you have to think about how this affected Jessie, the 11-year-old sister. I mean, she watched her best friend just deteriorate from the kid across the street. I mean, like, the trauma from that. Like, how do you have friends? How do you go play at friends' houses without wondering? How do you see a waterbed without thinking something like, and she probably heard her parents either having arguments or disagreements or struggling, seeing her mother cry or father cry, wondering if it was supposed to be her since Joshua was obsessed with her and had her picture, like, this didn't just affect Maddie. It affected in his parents too, which they divorced too, but allegedly his father was a terrible person anyways, and the mother was caught in the crossfire of this terrible husband and now this terrible son. But it's just crazy to think about, like, not only was Maddie so super innocent, but her sister is still affected by this. So in 2017, when they had the court hearing for him to try to get a re-sentence or get out or they had to pretty much go through most of the stuff again. That's when he got on the stage and let everybody know all the things he's been doing. He, finished school in there. He's became a paralegal. He was helping others. He allegedly has not been in really any trouble in this 20 plus years that he's been in prison. And the family sat up there and listened to all of that. And the mother of Maddie said, although she feels very bad for Joshua's, mother because she is innocent in this, she's thinking, like, I didn't get to see my daughter do any of these things. And, Jessie didn't get to see her sister. She'll never have any nieces and nephews from her sister. And she lost her best friend. And, Jessie got up there and said that she watched her family fall apart because of this. Again, it didn't just affect Maddie. So because of all that, Maddie's family said they were super nervous because Joshua looked really good up there. They thought he was going to get out. However, the judge resentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole. And they were so relieved and so happy. I actually saw Maddie's mom say, I'm really happy for him that he's getting to do all these things or whatever. But at least now I can sleep at night, because she is convinced, Maddie's mother, that if Joshua got out, he would be coming for Jessie, because she believes it was always about Jessie. It was never about Maddie. That's just who he was able to lure in the house and get. However, on the flip side, Joshua's mother says she'll never stop fighting, and he has another court hearing for another resentencing next year in 2023, where he's going to try to be released again. What do I think about all of this? When I listened to his apology, at first I felt a little bad. Like, okay, he was 14, he did something horrible, he's changed his life and all of that. But then when I listened to the family again, I thought I saw it in a different way. And also the fact that he's never actually really told the truth about what happened. I mean, what he said happened did not line up with anything else. And I think it's obvious probably what happened, in my personal opinion. And he doesn't want to admit that part because it seems even worse. I think he got obsessed with things of a nature and he wanted to act it out. And he couldn't get to Jesse. And so he took this little girl in. And I think he took her to the house and he wanted to do these things. And she probably screamed, freaked out, maybe hit him, bit him, whatever. And he hit her over the head and then he strangled her. It was said that she was strangled with a phone cord for 15 minutes is what it took. 15 minutes. And then he stabbed her 11 times and shoved her under the bed and somehow, some way got the bottom of her clothes off and left her there and then was spraying air freshener. So it's disturbing. It's very, very, very disturbing. And then when I saw his interviews, I can't tell if I'm getting Paris Bennett vibes from him. You guys remember Paris Bennett that did that to his little sister? If you guys didn't watch that video, you guys should really go and watch it. Now, in the case of Paris Bennett, we would not know all that we know about him if his mother didn't come out and speak about it and say she was scared of her son. This situation with Joshua, his mother is all, I love him, he needs to get out type of thing. And she was saying that. She was fighting for him to get out right after he did it. So I don't know. I see that prison talk with Joshua, and it could be genuine, and it could not be. So I don't know. Hopefully he can do all the good that he wants to do from sitting in there where he's safe and other people are safe from him. Have y'all heard about this case? What do you think? Do you think he should be given a second chance because he was only 14? Do you think that, maybe he's just one of those types of people that is better behind bars than out? What do you guys think? Do you think that it's really sad that they were married for 25 years and it eventually just they couldn't do it anymore? Let me know what you think in the comments section down below. As always, my loves, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please do not forget to like it. It's a free way that you can help your girl out. And until next time, I love you guys so very much. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye. Love you guys. Bye.
We are dreaming.